Hello and welcome back to Tammy's Antique Vintage Dolls and More, and this is the segment of all of my dolls. This here in front of you is a Grace Story Putnam Bilo Baby from the 1920s. Now the reason why I'm showing her is that she is really not the subject of this video. There's another doll that it relates to her, and like we know in the doll world, a great doll like this comes along. This one is up for restoration. She's in bad shape. I understand that. But these great dolls come out and other manufacturers, or sometimes even the same company, will come along and create a doll close to it. They'll set up their own competition, or another company will compete against the Bilo Baby, for instance. There were many dolls, great dolls that came out, like even Shirley Temple and a lot of other companies made dolls that looked very close to Shirley Temple but were not. And but they wanted to be a part of that, and it was it's all legal and everything. It's just called the business world and how it works. And so a lot of dolls took on some of the features of the Bilo Baby, and I have one here that is not a Bilo Baby, and it's from the same time period, and they mimicked some of those same features. It might have come out just a year after, or 2 years after the Bilo Baby, and the Bilo Baby was a big hit. And I did a video on it, on the Bilo Baby, and how mothers who, it was actually, the men did not want the doll. When they looked at the doll, the prototype came out, Grace took it to a lot of men, and the men turned it right down because of the realisticness of it. But who really loved the doll were young women and women who lost babies, because this at the time was, the doll was so realistic. It made them feel attached to the child they lost in childbirth, or just a child in itself that they might have yearned for, or that they want, you know, coming up and in their lives. Young girls even took to it. Children took to this doll, but the men didn't. So she sold it to the women, and the women pushed for it. They actually protested for this doll to be made, and it was made, and it was a success. It's almost like, it was so realistic for its time. It's like the realistic dolls of today in the Reborn, even though this is not a Reborn. I understand that, and you have to understand that, but what I'm trying to say is to put the connection together. This is as real as a doll was going to get for the 1920s. It was very realistic to them. It kind of scared the men a little bit because of how real this doll looked when it came out. Before this, dolls looked like dolls. This here was an actual, Grace actually sculpted this doll from an actual newborn baby in an orphanage.
It'd be like what they call today cutting edge, state of the art.
True, yes. So here we have before you exactly that. And it is comparison to, like I say, the Reborn, the realistic Reborns of today. So now taking that into account, a lot of other companies wanted that just as well. Just like they wanted Shirley Temple dolls, their own Shirley Temple doll, to speak and to make some money for them. And they did. A lot of people could not afford maybe the price of a Shirley Temple. Maybe the availability wasn't as great in their area. I don't know. But the other ones sold just as well. Knockoff sold off just as well. And they made a place into the hearts of little girls. So I'm going to take this one away, and I'm now going to put into the one that is a look-alike, or trying to come as close to it as possible. This here is Honey Child. And again, you have that newborn, pudgy nose, just born baby. Also from the 1920s. And it's a beautiful little doll in its right. But again, it's coming up, we'll put face to face. You can see how they were trying to compare. You can compare the two, how they come very close to one another.
Yeah, and just like today, whenever they come out with a new computer or a new car or whatever, everybody tries to copy it.
Yeah. So there we go. Just, you know, I thought I'd share this doll with you, and I haven't brought this doll out very much. It sits in a little buggy in my room, and I think I tried to show it in one of my videos when I was just newly making videos. I'm going to dress this doll in front of you. I have its little dress here that I had it in. It was covered up, so it's not dusty or anything. So I'll take off I made it into a little boy right now. I probably will return this to a little girl because that's what they were trying to mimic, was a baby girl. Here, let me just take his hat off. He's got a very nice rounded head, you know. Now there is some writing on the back of, I don't know who made Honey Child here. Something doll, 19, it's trying to say, I can see, oh, I see a 19, and then there's a copyright 28. There's an 8 there. I think it's 1928 or something. I can see an 8. And it's something, I got my glasses on this time here too. I think it's 1928. And it's Something Dolls here. I can find out who made this doll very easily. You can just go online. But anyhow, very nice doll, all the same. Its body is not very proportionate to one another. Its little legs are not. You can see mine needs some sewing up, you know, some help in its body. I have a regular diaper on it, which it shouldn't have by rights. It should have a cloth diaper, but it says Honey Child right on the front of the breastplate of the doll. You can see that right on there, Honey Child. You can look it up if you want to. And but a very nice doll, all the same, in the fact that I'm going to put this down, this nice little sitter, and it was a very nice little doll for its time. Came out at right around the same time as close to the same time as the Grace Story Putnam Bilo Baby did. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to put on its little dress, and I'll just dress him up here. This is a nice little blue gown. I made him into a boy because, like I say, I always say this, I don't have a lot of boy dolls. So if I can make a doll into a boy, and but I'm more than sure it came out as a little girl doll, you know. So I think I might return this doll back to a little girl doll, especially with the name Honey Child on it, you know. To me, the name Honey really refers to a little girl. So let me see if I can get this to come up around the back of the neck. There we go. Because I know I had this done up and it was quite loose at the front. There we go. These little tiny buttons, oh my goodness. Now this is an up-to-date gown. I got this gown from eBay from a site called Xmas Window. X-A-M-A-S Window. W-I-N-D-O-W. And let me see if I can get this. There we go. They sell clothes that are made today.
Wait a minute. Let me zoom in on those buttons. Those are small.
Oh, they're tiny, tiny. You know why? The reason why the buttons are small, that if a baby was to be laid on its tummy, that way those buttons would not dig in. Big buttons would not dig in. They're tiny little buttons. Yes.
They were smart.
Small. And I'm going to say something. I don't know if this is true, but if a button was to fall off, the chances of this button going down and not choking a child would be better than a bigger button.
The kid could just swallow it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't choke the child, you know, as much as a bigger button would. We hope that would never happen, but the buttons would stay on. But as that may be, I'll put its little boy hat back on again. Well, this has a little bit of lace going around, so, you know, around that brim, so. But children in those days, even little boys, it's nothing for them to be wearing gowns right up to the age of 5, you know. They got their knickers around 6 in those days. My dad wore knickers, and he was born in the early 30s, and he wore knickers when he was about 5, he said about 5 years of age. He was finally given a pair of pants or something like that. You know, gowns were very much given to babies. They were toddlers. It was not unheard of. So,
I've got a strange question.
What?
What is a knicker?
Knickers are pants that come to the knee, and then they wore socks up to the knee. So knickers would come. I know in Britain, if you were to go to England, you say knickers. Knickers are underwear. In Canada and United States, in this part of the world, North America, knickers were a pair of pants that came to the knee, and then the socks came up to the knee, and you would tuck the sock into now some had the socks had would hook onto a button onto the pants itself inside the cuff, and that way the socks stayed up. Not all did. Some were just tight around the top of the knee, and that elastic in the knee would hold it up. So depending, but they came only to the knee. And those are knickers. I know in England though, knickers can be underwear. So, but we're not talking that. We're talking North American knickers type of thing. Even here, knickers could be used. Some people use the word knickers as underwear, but I'm talking in little boys' clothing at the time. Knickers. Then they got their long pants when they hit about 13, and they were given their long pants then. Those would be worn in the winter and the summer and whatever else, you know, those knickers would be. So anyways, as that being said, it's a beautiful little doll, but like I say, very much in comparison to the Grace Story Putnam doll, Bilo Baby. So just putting them here, you can see the likenesses, you know, what they were trying to do and copy. So I hope you enjoyed this, and that you got a lot out of it. And this is what I'm going to say for today. And so we hope to get back to you again.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.